What's going on, guys? BladeZilla here, and today we're taking a look at another gorgeous piece from Shirogorov. This is their F3 Alutex Orange. Now, I have put out, 2 videos on this exact knife in different colorways. The different colorways up to this point being, I believe it was Emerald and Aquamarine. And true to what I try to do as best to my abilities, I like to have a video of all the production knives. So I wanted to get one of these guys up. This is the F3 Orange Alutex. And to me, orange definitely leans a little more red than orange. And I know there's a red-brown, and I would say, well, this is kind of a light red color. Looks really cool. It's got lots of layers on that Alutex. So sit back, relax. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Grab yourself a coffee, beer, whiskey, whatever. Don't know where you are, what time of the day it is. But we've got a gorgeous one to look at today from Shirogorov. As a reminder, a lot of the knives featured on this YouTube channel are available for sale on my site, BladeZilla.ca. That's in Canada. I just added some real bangers actually from Shiro. MIDI Q SR, Sprint Run, some Protect TR3 Integrity Customs, and Hation 3D. Super, super cool, rare one. Very, very rare on that custom division knife. So anyway, that's kind of my little shout out, I guess, for the day. And it's always nice to kind of mention that there is a website where a lot of this stuff is found. And anyway, onward and upward. Let's look at this gorgeous knife. So where does this fit in the Shirogorov lineup? And well, first and foremost, Alutex isn't a very standard material. It's actually a very high-end material that a lot of people are a little less familiar with, but it's layered. How do I say this? It's like it's like aluminum weaved carbon, as I understand it. First, I saw it on actually the Shirogorov Dr. Death Arctic, and later they put it on the Arctic RJ Martin, the Arctic Overkill. And it looks like we're just getting spoiled and getting some different variants of Alutex on different colorways and whatnot. But typically the F3 in this configuration is an entry-level config. And this one hits some high notes on features and blade steels that some of the other F3s don't have. And that's why I feel like the Emerald and the Aquamarine, and I actually do have some red browns still, they flew off the shelves. I could not even keep up with them, and I brought in tons of them. Super, super nice knife. Not sure if they'll ever be offered again, but when they did launch, I did say in the Aquamarine video, I said, I bet you this is going to be a very short release of these knife colors. And I have no information. I'm not talking direct with Sergey or anything like that. I have no clue what Shiro's plans are. But just based on previous experience with the brand, I said, you know what? I bet these are going to be very limited and rare. So I guess walk around. It's been now about a month or so, month and a half since I've released those videos, and obviously I'm out of stock on those. So we'll do a quick walk around on this. So obviously we've got, it's a liner lock. So it's not the standard frame lock that we've kind of come used to with Shiro's. We've got an Elmax Blade, which should say on the side somewhere. There we go, right up here, which is nice. It's a stone wash, flat grind, just all around, just a KISS principle knife. Keep it simple, stupid. Inside, obviously, it's a tie frame. Really, really nice. Nice ergos. As I roll the knife, you'll see that that lock bar is raised from side to side. And it's something I always show on my Hattie, but in this case it's pretty easy to spot. As I roll the knife, you can just see it's raised, so it's super easy to access that lock bar. No need for an over travel stop, as you do have that frame of that Alutex. That's not going anywhere. It's all internally milled. And I'll grab my light. I don't know. I hate showing this when my knife is pointing up, and I'm clumsy because I'll cut myself. But you can see tons of internal milling and skeletonization on this, which we'll get a weight on it later on in the video to see kind of where we land on this one. But as you can see, lots of material taken out, likely, from what I remember, to make a really nice balance on this one. That clip is attached externally instead of internally. with a number of other milling patterns on it. It is just another gorgeous, gorgeous clip to look at, and very functional. Just a really nice, stunning design on that. We do see on this side here, we've got two, is it the same size for the clip? Yeah, so we've got two sizes of bolts, one for the main pivot, or screws I should say, one for the main pivot, and you do need a Shirogorov driver or pen or whatever to take that apart. You can get away with a screwdriver or a penny. I wouldn't recommend it. These are gorgeous mastercrafted items, and I just wouldn't suggest using that. If you had to, you know, you could use maybe a credit card folded, but the key is you're going to want something softer material-wise than that bolt, right? You don't want to mar it up. But we have two different sizes, so the main screw, and then the body screw, and then the pocket clip. Simple enough, right? It is a flipper. As you can see, in that flipper is nice and forward of center, so she hammers out. Absolutely gorgeous. And to give you perspective, and I haven't even done measurements. Geez, I feel just like off my normal beat today. I always like to show this. My Thai Dr. Death, you can see the flipper tab being behind center makes for a slower kick out compared to when you put it in front of it, which hammers the knife out. Think of it as like the gearing on a bicycle. Bigger is easier, smaller is more leverage. So hammers out, smooth, smooth, smooth. Let's get some measurements while I have this actually at top of mind, because why not? It should be that standard. I think they market it as like a sub 4-inch blade, 3.9 or something. But let's see. It is sub 4, obviously, which is a critical number for a lot of regions in the US for carry. I think we're at 3.78, 3 7/8. Really nice size. We're at 4 3/4 on the handle, and overall, what are we? 8 3/4, 8.5? No, maybe 8 5/8. The camera strap is actually blocking my measurement view. Sorry, but 8 3/4, 5/8, something like that. It's a perfect size knife. Now the F3 models tend to be a little chunkier carry-wise, so if you've got a big hand but like a smaller blade length, these are a really good fit for those people, because the handles, they're just a little fatter than an F95 typically. They feel a little thicker, a little juicier, a little moister than an oyster, if you know what I mean. Comparison-wise, let's grab our normal 3 here. So we've got our neon. For size-wise, there's your neon. I'll grab a stellar. There's your stellar. And what I should probably do is do it in this order to kind of truly see the size. And remember, the camera is angled from the bottom up, so that whatever's on the bottom will appear bigger. And I'll reverse this order just to give you more perspective. But there's your kind of 3 sizes, and then once again we'll reverse it. Now the neon will look huge or bigger. So there you go. Actually, kind of looking at this, like, you know what? It's not as far apart as you'd think. The neon is obviously the smallest knife, but it's just looks a little bigger from this angle. But these two look pretty standard. So maybe we'll just do it like this. Keep this one in the middle, and then show both sides of it with the knife. That might be easiest. So there you go. Stellar. Stellar's a medium size, right? We'll grab a Quantum as well, which is always a favorite. There you go. My personal carry, Quantum. It's a monkey edge frag. Single row bearings on this, not double row and the monkey edge, but most of production stuff lately has all been multi-row bearings. It's been very rare to see single row bearings, but I'll give you that at the bottom as well. And the key here, remember, it just looks bigger at the bottom, but these are actually almost identical. The Quantum might be a little teensy bit longer. So maybe we'll do halves. How's that? Is that better? Nice center frame, no stretching of anything. That's a good way to do it. The key here, though, like I said, is the width of that handle. So let's put these side by side, and maybe we can actually show that a little bit better. So as you can see, blade-wise, very similar, if not the same. if it wants to focus, which it doesn't. But just a lot thicker of a carry in hand, so it just fills your palm a little bit fuller. And there were some people that I remember reading about in some of the forums. They're like, "Oh, the F3. I had an F3 and it's too thick in the pocket. I don't want to carry an F95." And I go, I don't know what world you're living in, but this is like marginally thicker. And the Quantum or the F95, they're a really good carry. They're big 4-inch blades, or sub 4-inch in theory, but they're just such a good size to carry. You get a lot more bang for your buck in that. And then I will show this as well. We have some Astroms in the store right now, and I grabbed one for myself. And so there's your production Astrom. So, fit, in your pocket wise, very, very similar. But it's actually, I believe, got a longer blade than the F3. Overall, a little bit longer. But it's a big neon, so it's basically the handle's thinner. Like, look at the size of those ergos. It's much shorter in hand, right? If you haven't seen an Astrom, haven't tried an Astrom, that's a new production knife, and I highly recommend it. It's got to be one of my favorite, if not my favorite designs currently. Emphasis on currently that they've released. So, really cool knife. And then from there, if we want to get into some other fancy ones, just for comparison, we can do, the Bio. Everyone loves the Bio. Such a sick knife. Sinkovich collab with Shiro. We can do our F95 Custom Division as well, which is actually a very similar thickness-wise. Has a lot of girth to that one. But dimensionally very similar to the production F95. Just a little more done up. We can do our Russian Overkill. My favorite of the Overkill series. Although that MagnaCut one was super sick as well. That was amazing. And then let's keep on rolling through. And you'll notice with my collection, it's always very plain Jane. And then we could do the Loxa. I don't know why I keep saying Lochsa. It's just, my God, Loxa. Still have this one. Gorgeous. It is not going anywhere. Probably my favorite collaboration piece Shiro's ever done. And worth every penny. All time. So there you go. Even smaller. That one is number 52, for anyone who's asking. Where else do we want to go with this? We can do our standard Sebenza as well. Sebenza large. There you go. If you want to see what an F3 versus a Sebenza looks like, it's always good to see that. So there you go. Large Sebenza, which is dollar for dollar, very similar price point, I think, depending on which version of the Sebenza, which if you get a glass blast or whatnot. But these guys, I can't remember the exact price. They're right in there for, I think, like, what, $760, $800 US, somewhere around that. And, the Chris Reeve stuff is, I guess it would be sub that price point, depending on configuration. You can easily go north of that. So, as I mentioned earlier, this is multi-row bearings. And it should say it on the inside of here, I think, MRBS. You can just see it, multi-row bearing system, which is Shiro's high-end production bearings, right? So some of the previous F3s they've done on single-row bearings. My Quantum that I showed earlier over there, the Monkey Edge Frag, that's on single-row bearings, which is standard. Gotcha. Standard balls in a circle, like you'd think on any other knife. Multi-row bearings is kind of that same track, but a little bit fatter, and then they put 2 to 3 bearings in a row in a kind of a pinwheel pattern. And that adds a lot of stability to the side-to-side contact points between the blade and the frame. It doesn't really change the action a whole lot. If anything, it slows it down. But as you can see, silky smooth on MRBS, and that'll only break in and get smoother with time. They're ridiculous, MRBS. Definitely high-end production, and, really good QC quality control. Really good tolerances on all the manufacturing. Just gorgeous knives. Something that you don't see all the time in the knife business. You know, I've had hundreds and hundreds of Shiros come through, and I check every one, and I have yet to have a single problem. Knock on wood, but they're made very, very well. Very, very well. Now, we're making them in orange. How cool is that? Orange Alutex definitely pops the light really nicely. We also have a tie backspacer. I haven't even mentioned that. I know, where is it? I've got an F3 in my case beside me, which I think, is it Elmax? Yeah, so this is another F3, more of a G10, right? So that's a G10, personal one obviously, but that's a G10 F3 with Elmax on the blade. Very similar, but G10 backspacer. I think these are the same price, to be honest. G10 backspacer, it's got all the fit and finish of this, you know, same clip, very similar hardware. Everything looks really, really good. Tolerances, action, gorgeous knife. You know, the F3s have always been really consistent because they're not you're not manually bending a lock bar to rely on your action, if that makes sense. So they've always been really consistent. Super, super nice. But you know what? It feels like a sharp knife. Very, you know, great if you're going to go outdoors. It's going to be tough as nails, that G10. But, you know, Alutex, very similar. It's just kind of taken up a notch in the fancy department. The light hits it, it moves around. I have one light. I should probably throw another light on this and you can see how it all bounces together. But it's a gorgeous pattern and gorgeous configuration to have in hand. That in conjunction with the Elmax Blade. You've got that titanium backspacer. You've got a spot for a lanyard. I didn't mention that either, but you do have a spot. If you want to put a lanyard on here, you can. Right? It's just such a heavy hitter, and that's why when I first filmed the aquamarine, I typically have a cheat sheet beside me just in case I miss anything, just so I can kind of go over everything. And I had the pricing on the aquamarine and the emerald beside me there, and I was filming it, and I was looking at it going like, this has to be a mistake, because that's the price of the G10 version with a G10 backspacer. This has collars, first of all. It has tie collars instead of G10 collars. It has a tie backspacer. It's Alutex instead of G10. And then you go, oh, okay, so they must have put a Chromax blade in it to bring the cost down compared to a name brand like Elmax. Nope. They went Elmax. And at the time I was very, very surprised, to the point where I was actually like filming the video, telling myself I should really make sure that this price is accurate before I say it, because I'll be held to it for one, but two, it just didn't make sense. And nope, that's what they did, and lo and behold, I have no aquamarines and no emeralds left, all gone. And it did not take long. And talking with other distributors, same kind of thing, gone right away. So I think people know when the materials hit the right note. The design's obviously, insane, phenomenal. It's so well done. The design is not gonna, you're not gonna return the knife because of the design. It's phenomenal. It's all time best. And then you just knock it out of the park with the tie bits, Elmax Blade, sick action, multi-row bearings, nice milling clip. You've got an absolute home run. And now orange, and I still have, not many, but I still have a stack of the red browns left, so I'd like to get one of those filmed at some point here, so that I can at least get a video up on that knife, because I tend to, sometimes I put them up and then I forget about them. And personally, I just want to have that catalog of all the different configurations, even if it's just 10 minutes, which I'm known to go well over. I'm sure I'm already 20 minutes into this. Who knows? Yeah. So some of the features of the F3 that we haven't even mentioned, like the flipper tab that they do the cutouts behind the flipper. Love that. So I don't know if you can see that, but you see how they bevel right in here? So when you flip it down, your finger doesn't fall into a sharp edge. Right? Just little things like that are just so well done. Obviously, everything's just rounded around the edges, and the Alutex does a good job of hiding that, I'd say. But if you look into, let's get this here. If you look into like these areas, you know, when it's carbo tie, you can see it a lot better, but when it's Alutex, it hides it really well. It's all rounded and milled, and it's just done so well. You know, no hot spots in your hand. This you can hold all day long. The clip rounds as well, so it falls into your palm and just kind of disappears. I've got an extra large glove hand, and you know, still got room for a finger if I wanted to. The jimping's super practical. I guess you could kind of argue, you know, Shiro typically has matched the jimping on the blade with the backspacer, and they've kind of kept this just plain Jane, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that, because maybe they were like, hey, let's put a tie backspacer, but we'll save costs in not milling it extensively. Maybe that's the way they went. I don't know. Maybe that is such a marginal cost that it doesn't matter. Not too sure. But, you know, traditionally they've always matched the two patterns. Jimping's fine. The blade's nice and fat and thick and flat on top, so you can kind of get right down to the edge of the blade if you want. You can do whatever you want. It's awesome. The bears on the blade, obviously I wish the Shiro bear was more on the handle, but just to show you what I'm talking about, they've done it on the Astrum, they've done it on the Stellar now. So this is obviously M390, but we don't have a Shiro bear on the knife anymore. They've kept the M390 on the blade on the back, but the bear is gone. Instead, they've milled it into the actual handle. So just my perspective on that is it's on the blade, so it's in the cutting path, and if you do use your knife, you might eventually wear it off. And I'd say at this end of the spectrum, price point wise, more people are using these blades than the high end production or custom division or full customs. So to me, it's important to kind of have these features where if you want to maintain the brand image, you know, maybe not putting it on the blade's the best idea, but keep in mind where they put it on the blade. Like, who's really cutting that close to the handle? I don't know. Probably more down here is where you're really using that blade. As well, I believe I brought this up on the lanyard hole. So you can kind of see how it's kind of countersunk down, but you do have these tall edges of Alutex still kind of sticking up on the sides next to it. I don't know how resilient Alutex is to damage, but having that piece there unprotected without frame beside it, that might be something I pay attention to. But sure, with smart people, they know what they're doing. They know how they're making their knives. But that would be something I would just pay attention to. And at the end of the day, it's literally a scale. If you had to replace it, it's a scale. Big deal, right? I'm sure their warranty would cover a scale. But otherwise, that's an Orange F3. So, absolute banger of quality, really good value, really good materials at a price point that I just still don't know how they did it. Comparatively in the line, it's really good bang for your buck. So if you're looking at an F3, maybe you want to try out an F3, or maybe you want to try out the F95 style design and in more of a liner lock config, I would without a doubt recommend this. I will have a video of that red as well at some point, just to kind of give you an idea of what the red-brown color Alutex looks like. And then if you want to see the emerald or the aquamarine, those videos should already be up on the channel. Just search F3 aquamarine, I'm sure it'll pop up. And otherwise, you've got another banger knife. So I'm stoked to have a stack of these in the store for the time being. Don't know when you're going to watch this, but I'm filming this in kind of December 2024. So if you're watching this in 2027, I apologize. They may not be in stock. In fact, I would almost guarantee they will not be in stock 3 years from now. But you never know. Never know. Okay, guys, appreciate you stopping by and checking out the F3 Alutex Orange with Elmax Blade and tie features. Great knife, great banger. Check it out at BladeZilla.ca. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Obviously, I'm here. Hit like on that. That always helps the video, helps the channel. And am I forgetting one? Facebook. They just started one recently. So follow me on Facebook. If you want to chat or whatever, it's probably easiest on Instagram. It just makes the most sense. Otherwise, we'll catch you on the next one. Okay, guys? Peace.